Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's tarot reading. This week, I am recording from a different location, so I do apologize in advance for any technical difficulties that we might have during this reading. So, the theme when I was looking at what today's reading was going to be about, the main question that I decided to explore is when the pressure to start, when the pressure begin, sorry, when the pressure to start begins to build, what might help you move through the pressure to see the type of beginning that is emerging this cycle? And so, what I was thinking about this is like, there's this idea that when we get that pressure to start something, that the brain, or at least my brain, jumps to it has to be something new. It has to be something that I haven't done before. And so a lot of projects or plans that I may have shelved, they just kind of keep staying on the shelf and I start new things and I start new things. And it ends up being just like this kind of continuous accumulation of started things. And it gets really frustrating for me because then it feeds into a story that I start things and I never finish anything. And so as I was exploring what I wanted to kind of investigate in this spread this week was the idea of, like, first of all, when we feel the pressure to start something, what do we do as that's happening? Do we just rush out and start things? Do we sit with that pressure? Because sometimes the pressure that we feel to start something new isn't necessarily about starting something brand new. It can be this idea of restarting or, taking the next step in a series of steps that need to be started. When I was teaching, and we had like behavioral students and stuff like that would have a really bad day, they would go home and we would tell them, you can start again tomorrow. And so this idea of every second, every minute, every hour, every day gives us the opportunity to restart, to start over, to start anew. And that's more the idea that I was looking at exploring, is this notion that just the idea of beginning just means it's what comes first. It doesn't mean that it's new. It doesn't mean that it has to be something different. It just means that it's the first step. And a lot of times when we get that pressure, I don't know, maybe there's this thinking, well, the novelty of starting something new, of exploring something new, of getting involved with something new, because maybe there's something in the older things that we have kind of sitting in the background, um, have lost that shiny new car kind of feel to it. And so really trying to understand what beginnings are all about and how they can kind of be looked at from a different perspective, because I know for me, I have a very big bias when it comes to the word beginning, is starting something new. And I really do appreciate having the opportunity to do these readings for you, because I did sit with that idea and my own bias and my own judgment about the word beginning, and how I've flipped it a little bit and I've pivoted a little bit to be able to understand that a beginning simply marks the beginning of something, whether it's something new or something old that we're revisiting. It's just something that is starting. It is just that first step. And I think that's kind of helped me understand. So instead of constantly adding to my shelf of beginnings, I can start to think about taking things off the shelf, dusting them off, and beginning again with them. So, the purpose of today's reading is to make space to explore the different beginnings that might be showing up in your life. And every day offers a new beginning. Every moment offers a new beginning. So, what are the types of beginnings that are showing up in your life? So, let's shuffle that into the cards. And the guiding question, the overall guiding question, is what tends to emerge when the pressure starts to build? And so, even before we identify what the beginning means, we have to understand what our relationship is to that pressure of beginning something. And so, we're going to shuffle that into the deck. So, what tends to emerge when the pressure to start begins to build? That'll shuffle nicely into the cards. deck. All right. This one wants to stay in play. So now 1, 2, 3, 5. All right. So our first position question asks, what might help you meet the pressure that emerges in the beginning? And so a lot of times we'll jump into these new beginnings or these new ideas because we just want to get the pressure to go away, right? There's a discomfort in pressures that come with shifts and changes and when things are ready to start. So what might help you to meet that pressure that emerges in the beginning? And so here we have the Page of Cups. And this is, I think, a very loving, a very gentle invitation to sit with the pressure instead of trying to muscle our way through it or try to fight it off or avoid it. The Page of Cups is coming in and saying this pressure is an invitation for you to explore, feel around the edges, right? Like water is so fluid and it has no container of its own. And so the Page of Cups is coming in and saying, find the pressure, find the source of the pressure, feel around the edges, feel where there's pockets in it, feel where there's spaces for opening, feel where it's really hard and feel where it's soft, and allow yourself to kind of create a movement, create a cycle, create a rhythm that helps that pressure to start to breathe, that helps the pressure to find its own inner heartbeat, right? Instead of seeing it as something like a rock in your shoe, going back to last week, seeing it as something that needs to be removed or an irritant, see this as a sign, as an invitation that something is here for us to work with. And the more that we can see this as an opening, as an invitation, as a way to ease ourselves and feel into what is coming up, then we're more likely going to be aware of the types of beginnings and the types of cycles that are starting to come up that are ready to be explored, that are ready to become either manifested into the physical world or that are there to help us realign our energy or whatever it is. The more that we can be with it and feel what it is and open to it in curiosity, then the more likely it is that we'll be able to meet this pressure with more of a co-creative spirit, with more of a collaborative spirit, instead of this is something I have to beat up or I have to make go away. So the next question asks, how does the pressure inhabit your body? And a lot of times, the reason why these pressures that come up really make us feel uncomfortable is because they sit heavy in the body and we feel that we have to do something. I know for me, whenever there's a lot of pressure that kind of shows in, say, in the form of anxiety, I get really antsy and I start to pace and I have to move and I fidget. And it's just a way of my body telling me there's an energy here, there's a presence here within the body that is asking for attention. And that's what we're looking at here, right? So how does the pressure of the beginning inhabit the body? And here we have Temperance. And that kind of goes to what I was saying, right? So with Temperance, first of all, being a major arcana card, we're being told that this is a lesson that once we learn, will make these beginnings and these cycles more easily absorbed into our regular routines and our habits and stuff like that. We'll be able to get to the point where we feel the sign, we feel the discomfort, and we can go, I know what this is. Now, how do I engage with it with curiosity? How do I accept the invitation of what is coming so that I can be in balance and I don't have these things throw me off? Because a lot of times, I think what happens when these pressure points start to rise is that it throws us off balance. And it can either throw us off balance in the sense of it kicks us into high gear that we have to stick to our limits even harder and we have to stick within our barriers even harder, or it throws us in the total opposite way where we just are unable to self-regulate, we're unable to do anything that allows us to be able to really be present for what is evolving and developing. And so Temperance is coming in and saying, there's a lot of things that are moving during this period of time. As this pressure starts to build, there's a lot of moving pieces. It's very much like clockwork, right? So it really is like clockwork. So when a cycle begins, someone has set that watch kind of into motion. And so the gears start to turn and the cogs start to churn and everything starts to move. And so there is a beautiful dance of balance within that kind of clockwork idea that when this pressure starts to build, we have to pay attention to it because otherwise we will end up putting the whole system under pressure. And most of the time, when the system's under pressure, the thing that ends up collapsing in the end is the physical body. And so looking at where are the joints starting to kind of seize up? Where are the muscles starting to tighten up? Where are you starting to feel a lot of that discomfort? Because that is where the system is getting gummed up. That is where the system is getting clogged up. And the clockwork is no longer able to spin so nice and smoothly and mechanically the way it does if we're really present to what is going on. Next, we're going to look at what type of beginning might the pressure be seeking. So when these kinds of things start to happen, we want to know, we always want to know why. Why is this happening? And so this one we're looking at as this idea of what type of beginning might this pressure be seeking, right? So what type, not what exactly am I supposed to be beginning, but based on the pressure. So if you're open to curiosity, right, and you're allowing that to evolve, and you're sitting there and you're looking at where the mechanism is starting to gum up and jam up, the more you do this, the more you're going to start to be aware of, oh, when my joints are starting to hurt, this is the type of beginning that is starting. When my muscles are bothering me, this is the type of beginning that's coming. And so here we have the Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups, it's interesting to have these kinds of cards in these positions, right? So what type of beginning might the pressure be seeking? And the Nine of Cups to me is the minor arcana version of the wish card, right? Of the star card, where it's opening up the potential for you to have everything it is that you have ever dreamed of and beyond, right? Because when we play wishes with the universe, we might say, I wish for a new car, and the universe will say, well, you deserve more than a car, so I'm going to give you a whole car lot kind of idea. And so the Nine of Cups is coming in to say the type of beginning that is emerging from what you're feeling right now is this idea of expansion into what is yours for your wellness, right? When we look at a lot of times when pressure starts to build up, it will come along with a bunch of emotions as well, right? And this is a very celebratory card. It is this card of homecoming. It is this card of finding community. It is the card that says that where you are is where your wellness will shine. And so the beginnings that are coming up from whatever discomfort you're feeling right now are rooted in this idea that something that you're going to start might take you one step closer to home of the heart, right? We're not talking a physical place. We're talking the place of wellness. We're talking the place of the heart, that place where you can be anywhere in the world and still feel the love of everything around you, still feel the connection to everyone around you. There is a very potent energy to the Nine of Cups when it comes to this idea of wellness, right? It is the epitome of the universal spa, if you want to put it that way. So it's like walking into the spa and going, this is the energy I want to be embraced at. This is the energy that I want. I want to relax. I want to enjoy. I want to let go. I want to be cleansed and clear of everything that's holding me back. And so I think is a beautiful thing that we're looking to step into and to begin. Next, we ask, what might help you journey through the pressure to the beginning that is emerging? So a lot of times when we look at these kinds of journeys and stuff like that, especially because this is an elemental spread as well, and we're over in the West is very much community. It's very much emotion. It's very much intuitive and creative. And when I was creating this spread, the thing that I wanted to really bring into this idea is that for you to know what the beginning is, it is a journey that you must take with yourself. And so that's why this question is what might help you journey through the pressure to the beginning that is emerging. And I think it's interesting that we have the Fool coming up here. Fool is very much, kind of a mirror of this page of cups, only in this sense, again, we're dealing with a major arcana card. So this is the universe calling to you and saying, what you really want to look at doing that is going to really support you as best as you can is to take the invitation and the curiosity and the fluidity of that Page of Cups and start a brand new adventure. Let go of the old stories. Let go of the things that you thought were true. Let go of the beliefs and the biases and the judgments that you had, and see what the path unfolds, right? It's instead of saying, I'm going to pack my suitcase, so I'm ready for absolutely everything that's going to happen, the Fool comes and says, let it all go. And know that as you walk down this path, what you need will be provided. It will show up. And so walk open-handed, walk without shoes, walk in a way that you are free and clear and unencumbered. And that is how you're going to walk through the pressure, because the pressure only builds when we put expectations and when we put pressure back on that to have it come out in a certain way. So if the pressure starts to build, I need to start something new. The mind will logically go, well, what is it that I need to start? What's the new thing? What am I calling? What's interesting me? And the Fool says, stop, just feel, right? Because we're definitely following that Page of Cups all the way through this. And the Fool is coming in and saying, follow the Page of Cups, follow what feels right, follow what the system is saying, how it's running, how smoothly it's going, follow where your heart is leading, and allow yourself to let go, right? Because the Fool starts knowing nothing. Even if it's his fifth, 20th, 100th time through this cycle, he always starts knowing nothing. And that's where we're at, being asked to start, is when the pressure comes up, drop everything that you think you know and feel into what is coming up. And then we've moved to, what is the story emerging from this beginning? And so instead of coming in with a pre-written story, once we enter the role of the Fool and we let everything go, the story that's going to be coming up, and interestingly enough, we end with another invitation, is the Page of Wands. And so as we started with the Page of Cups, right? The Page of Cups was soothing. The Page of Cups was cleansing. The Page of Cups was opening curiosity to the places that the pressure was starting to build. And now when we go through the whole thing and we follow through on all the steps, all of the advice, all of the possibilities, the Page of Wands comes up and says, now that the cleansing is done, now that the pressure is eased, now the machine is running. Now, where is it going to take you? Now, what is the most wonderful thing that you can imagine? What is the adventure, right? And that's what the Fool loves. So as long as you can fully embody that Fool, then you're going to be able to open to adventure. It's going to be where in the world, be it physical, be it emotional, be it spiritual, be it internal or external, where in this whole cosmos of being is this journey and adventure going to take you? So when you drop all of the pretense, when you drop all the expectation, and you make your way through these steps towards the Page of Wands that opens the invitation to, the world is yours. What do you want to learn? What do you want to experience? What is driving you? Only by going through that cleansing and that purification with that kind of innocent creativity and curiosity of that Page of Cups will you be able to come to be able to really embody the curiosity of the Page of Wands, who wants to explore everything, wants to know everything, wants to go everywhere. And that's what this beginning is opening ourselves up to. It's almost like it's saying it's time to stop living in these boxes that we make and these roles that we play, and really see what's out there, because the beginning might be something brand new that's going to turn you into someone different, but it could also be the first step to take you back to who you are. So as I said, we had a sticky card, and so this is the only card, and because it's sticky, this is the one that's saying that this could be the kind of the monkey wrench in the whole system, right? This could be the one thing that might stop or clutter up the problem. And I find it interesting that here we have the Five of Swords, because here's a midpoint. And the fact that it's a sticky card and comes up kind of as a bit of a warning of, what possible conflict and what possible obstacles you might encounter during this process, having a five of any suit is a very indication that this stickiness is either going to move you from the Page of Cups to the Page of Wands, or is going to prevent you from moving beyond the Page of Cups. And so I find this really interesting. And what's interesting, because we talked at the end about story, the Five of Swords is very much a story-based card because most of the sword cards all revolve around communication and the conflicts that come up from communication, from miscommunication. And one of the things that always catches me with this card is the way he's holding the sword and the look on his face. And it's almost like he's so determined that even if somebody grabs the sword and cuts his fingers off, he's still going to feel that he came out victorious. And this is what the five is coming to ask us about, right? Like, what is the stance that you're so stuck on? What is it that you are so angry about? What is it that you're so afraid to let go of, that you're willing, what is it? Yeah, cut off your nose to spite your face kind of thing. There's definitely, when you look at this card, there is this sense of, I want to say there's a sense of lostness, of forlornness, because as much as he looks angry, the more you look at his face, the more there's this desolation in his eyes and in his face and in his countenance, right? And it's this idea of, are you fighting the pressure that's building because you feel that it is an inevitable thing that's going to happen? I've been here before, I felt this pressure before, and it's just going to kick off a cycle that's going to end in heartbreak, that's going to end in craziness, that's going to end in another thing going up on my shelf of beginnings? Or is there this idea of, there has to be a way to break this cycle, and I'm just not sure I know how to do it, and if I have to sacrifice something in order to do it? So the Five of Swords is coming here to tell us that there is going to definitely be some inner stories that are going to come up every time the pressure comes, until we can find a way to be with the pressure, to engage with it in a way that is more curious and more creative problem solving and more collaboration than it is about just pure brutal force getting through it so that it'll go away. So looking at the cards, what I find interesting is, first of all, we have two major arcana cards. The thing that I find the most interesting is that it goes minor, major, minor, major, minor, right? There's a nice rhythm here. And we did talk earlier about finding the rhythm of this as it's unfolding, right? Like as this pressure starts to build, what is the rhythm? And here we have choice, lesson, choice, lesson, choice. And it's all about engaging in that. And because we have the two pages, which are invitations to become curious about how it feels and what you're doing, right? Like, this is a really, really balanced reading, in the sense of what we're being asked to do is get curious, be aware of the lessons that are going on. And then in the middle, we have the Nine of Cups, which is everything hinges on whether you feel that you are in a place of peace, that you are in a place where this is the life that you're willing to embrace, that this is the place where your heart is singing, And so I think it's just a really, really powerful spread to be able to help us understand how this pressure of beginning can be experienced through our body, through our energy, and to really help us be aware and be more present to these things, instead of just blindly feeling, I feel uncomfortable because there's this pressure here, and just taking time to sit and go, I wonder what this is all about. So I hope you like this reading. I hope that you got something out of it, and that there is something that you will be able to kind of pick up and carry along with you. Take the message of the pages and get a little bit curious as to what's coming up in your life. In the meantime, I wish you all the best. Take care, and I will see you around the webs.